Adventure 2 marked the end of an era, not just for Sonic, but Sega as a whole. With the death of the Dreamcast, Sega would now be putting its games on its competitors' platforms, the PlayStation 2, the Xbox, and the Nintendo GameCube. And that would mean that in order to survive, Sonic would have to go multi-platform. A follow-up to SA2 was guaranteed given the success that game saw, not just on its home console of the Dreamcast, but its port to the GameCube. However, Sonic Team wanted to make something that would appeal to a larger audience rather than a direct sequel to SA2. The adventure titles did serve as a good baseline to work off of, but this new game would also bring back elements from the classic Genesis titles. This did, of course, come with some problems. Apparently, the game had a very strict deadline, and top it off with, the game would have to release on all 3 major platforms, of which only the GameCube was what the developers were somewhat familiar with, and according to future convict Yuji Naka, it was one of the most stressful Sonic games he'd ever make. Whether Sonic Team was ready or not, that deadline came, and Sonic Heroes would release on all major consoles on December 30th, 2003. As opposed to the adventure games, Heroes would be looked on considerably worse than those ones, especially the PS2 version, which had worse graphics and a lower frame rate compared to the GameCube and Xbox. Ask anyone who was in the Sonic community in the 2010s and they will tell you that Heroes, while not bad, was pretty average, and in hindsight, is seen as the beginning of the dark age of Sonic the Hedgehog, the period in which the series had back-to-back stinkers on home consoles at least, which would make Sonic the butt joke of the gaming community, and a tale of how the once mighty had fallen so hard. As for me, I have played Heroes before and I never bothered to finish it. Even back then, it just wasn't up to the same standards that the adventure games set for me. Although, as of late, I have seen it get more praise for what this game does to set itself apart from the other games in the series. Well, why don't we dive right into this, reach inside of it, and see what Sonic Heroes is made of, and if it truly was the beginning of the end for Sonic. Now, I normally would start these Sonic videos off with a summary of the story, but Heroes doesn't really have much of one. I mean, there is a story for each individual team, but it's nothing nearly as grand as the adventure games. Sonic Heroes divides its gameplay and story among 4 teams consisting of 3 characters each. Team Sonic consists of Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. Team Dark, starring Shadow, Rouge, and newcomer E123 Omega. Team Rose, with Amy, Big, and Cream the Rabbit making her debut in a 3D Sonic game after her introduction in Sonic Advance 2. And finally, Team Chaotix, bringing Espio, Charmy, and Vector into this new era of Sonic. I really appreciate this roster, even if it was supposed to be different early on. Hell, Shadow, the only reason he was brought back from his assumed death in SA2 was because of fan demand. And as for the Chaotix, I don't think I would have ever anticipated that. The redesigns that they gave them are pretty nice too. Espio is now a ninja, no longer a Sonic clone. Charmy was given brain damage, and Vector, a once devout Christian, loyal follower of God, is now a money-greedy whore. It's a shame that Mighty got condemned to that bar with Ray, Honey, Fang, and Bark, and Bean, but I mean, hey, all those guys have at least since gotten some kind of time back in the spotlight. Except Honey, I'm pretty sure she died of alcohol poisoning back in 2018. As for the story, it's nothing much for half of the teams. For Team Sonic, Eggman sends them a letter saying that he's going to take over the world in 3 days. Bada bing, bada boom, we're Sonic Heroes! Amy and Cream go out to find Cheese's friend Chocola, and Big tags along since he has once again lost the goddamn frog. Team Chaotix now run a detective agency and get a client who offers them a lot of money and, well, they need to pay the bills, and god, that is so fucking real. Team Dark is where I feel the most interesting story bits happen. Rouge sneaks into one of Eggman's bases looking for some secret treasure, only to discover Shadow, who she and everyone presumed was dead after his orbital plummet in the previous game. Then, partway through the story, they discover a Shadow android, which clearly raises some questions that are only then further heightened, when at the end, Rouge uncovers a hall full of Shadow androids, with her wondering if her Shadow is the real Shadow or just another robotic clone. Unfortunately, we gotta wait until the next game for the conclusion to that plotline, but it does make me want to learn more about Shadow, if this is really him. At the end of Team Chaotix's story, it's revealed that their client was none other than Dr. Eggman, who was using the Chaotix to rescue him after he was locked up, but who locked him away in the first place? Why, none other than a returning Metal Sonic, who was now powered up to become Neo Metal Sonic. Throughout the game, Metal Sonic was monitoring the teams, copying their biodata, as well as the biodata of the ultimate lifeform through Shadow, and Chaos through Froggy. With all of this data in hand, Metal Sonic transforms into Metal Overlord, and god damn, this transformation takes one hell of a minute. I mean, it's cool, but fucking god, you can microwave a bag of popcorn in the time it takes, grab a soda, do a line of coke, bust a nut into a tissue. Is he done yet? No? Good, fuck him. With the power of the 7 Chaos Emeralds, Sonic uses them to transform into Super Sonic. Not Tails and Knuckles, oddly. They just get these golden bubbles. I mean, Super Knuckles was a thing, right? And also, come on, this is such a downgrade for Tails. He doesn't even get his flicky army of death. Team Sonic faces off against Metal Overlord, who now believes that he is the original Sonic, with our Sonic being the cheap copy. Team Sonic is able to take down Metal Overlord with the superpower of teamwork, and he transforms back into regular Metal Sonic. Everyone then runs off, with the Chaotix then proceeding to beat the living shit out of Eggman for not paying them. Something, 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 we're Sonic Heroes! Roll credits. It's a lot simpler than the games that came before it, and you know, I don't mind that. Sometimes a smaller story can be for the better, and given that this game already has 12 playable characters, it was likely for the best. The good thing, at least, is that the voice cast here is pretty great. I think this is the best that the Dreamcast voice actors have ever been. Ryan Drummond's Sonic is on point, Dean Bristow's Dr. Eggman never disappoints. The only odd one out here, for me, is Tails. I don't get why Sega was so keen on getting a child to voice Tails, and they could have just gotten a female voice actress to do a kid's voice like Bart on The Simpsons. And I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, what an awful performance, this kid should be put in the gulags! But, Christ, this is the worst the Fox has ever sounded. Seriously, take a listen.
Wow, my head's spinning!
Got it!
Look at all those Eggman robots!
The cutscene presentation, too, is pretty bad. I don't know why, but I just never liked the way that Heroes cutscenes looked. Everyone has that CG plasticky look to them. I mean, hey, I guess that is consistent with the in-game graphics, but I don't know, these just have a certain air of cheapness to them. Like they're 2 steps away from being those McDonald's Pakistani Sonic commercials. Now, that's enough about the non-gameplay stuff. Let's actually delve into Sonic Heroes as a video game. We of course got 4 teams that we can play as, and all 4 are required to unlock the true ending. So what makes these teams different? Well, each of them basically act as their own difficulty selects, as the levels will change and have you go through certain paths, depending on which team you select, except the Chaotix, we'll save them for last. Team Sonic is the normal mode. Their stages aren't too difficult, and you'll typically explore the stage's full length. I find Team Sonic to actually be the best team in the entire game, since it feels like these stages were best designed for them. And what do I mean by that exactly? Team Dark is the hard mode of this game, and their method of making these stages more difficult is to just spam fuck it with more difficult enemies and hazardous obstacles. I mean, you do get to explore more dangerous paths, but honestly, these stages just don't work as well with all of these enemies and whatnot. Not to mention, you'll end up having to spend about 10 minutes in each level with Team Dark. Then there's Team Rose, who are the biggest nothing burger of a team in the entire game. They're the easy mode, and they'll only have you explore about half of each level, and they barely populate those levels with any enemies. I cleared Team Rose's story in about 1 hour and 30 minutes, and I'm sorry, that's not a campaign, that's a demo. I can't enjoy Team Rose because there's barely anything worth enjoying. That then brings us to Team Chaotix. Who thought these were okay? So Team Chaotix levels are mission-based, meaning that you'll need to clear a certain objective within the level in order to progress, and you know, half of these are actually pretty fun. Take Egg Fleet, for example, where you need to avoid being spotted by the egg pawns. That was actually pretty fun. It's the other mission! Okay, so a good chunk of Team Chaotix levels will require you to find items within the level. Take the first one, for example, Seaside Hill. You'll have to find 10 hermit crabs in order to progress, and there aren't that many to begin with. In fact, I think this level only has 10 hermit crabs within it, so if you miss one, you gotta go back and find it. And a lot of their levels do this. Get 5 keys in Final Fortress, get 10 keys in Haunted Castle, get 200 rings in Casino Park. I fucking hate this level, by the way. Oh, but we'll save that for later. All of this combines to make a very uneven game just from this one aspect alone. Team Sonic is the only team that I can truly enjoy. Team Dark feels too unbalanced, there is no Team Rose, and Team Chaotix is a gamble on if I'll enjoy their levels or not. We haven't even jumped into the actual gameplay, and we already got some strikes against this shit. Alright, so building off of the adventure titles, the different characters can be split into 3 archetypes. Speed, consisting of Sonic, Shadow, Amy, and Espio. Flight, which is Tails, Rouge, Cream, and Charmy. Lastly are the power characters, which are Knuckles, Omega, Big, and Vector. Unlike the adventure games though, you actually have all 3 character types that you can swap between with the press of the X and Y buttons. Now, for as much bitching as I did about the teams, when you're actually just playing with the team mechanics, it's actually pretty fun. I like being able to just swap between any of your teammates on the fly with just the press of a button, and swapping characters in quick succession while keeping your momentum going is satisfying. Not to mention the fact that each character has their own specialty, which adds value to each of them. The speed characters are great for just blasting through levels, as you might expect. They have the homing attack and this wind move, which is used for pole dancing. Yeah, Shadow worked that shit. Not to mention, there's this Rocket Excel, which replaces the spin dash. I don't know how to feel about that, actually. Some characters do also have their own specific attacks, namely Amy, who can use her hammer as a kind of glide, and Espio, who can throw ninja stars. Next up are the flight characters, who you would think are the least useful and are only necessary for the times where you need their flight to reach specific areas, but honestly, these guys, they're great for precision platforming. You can even flick your teammates at enemies to stun them, which is really useful for enemies that are too high up for the other 2 teammates to reach. Finally are the power characters, and these are actually my favorite to use out of the 3. They're great for taking out enemies of all kinds. Enemy with a shield? Not anymore. Robot in the air? Pow! Right in the kisser. Hordes of enemies closing in on you? Take them out with a mini nuke slam courtesy of the nipple-fisted anteater. Each character also can be leveled up throughout the course of a stage. As you beat enemies, collect these colored orbs, and cross checkpoints, you can level up your trio, which will actually benefit them. Your speed characters will get a stronger homing attack, your flight characters can destroy enemies instead of just stunning them, and your power characters get juiced! The only thing that sucks is that if you lose a life when you restart, all 3 of your characters will be back at level 0, so you at least have a genuine reason to avoid dying. The last major mechanic of the team system is the Team Blast. As you destroy enemies and collect rings, you'll build up this gauge in the corner, which when filled, allows you to unleash a screen nuke that actually has different properties depending on the team. Team Sonic doesn't actually do anything special. Team Dark uses chaos control, which is nice, except for those instances where you need a door to open, and now you'll just be standing there waiting around like a complete dumbass until the timer runs out. Team Rose has the best Team Blast in the entire game, since it not only automatically levels up all 3 of them at once, but it also grants them temporary invincibility, speed shoes, and a shield. Team Chaotix also has a pretty good one, since with every robot destroyed, it'll award them rings, which will quickly refill the gauge, allowing you to pull off another Team Blast right after the first. All of this comes together to form what is actually a really tight gameplay system that is pretty enjoyable, and it honestly shocks me that they have never attempted something like this again. I think there could be some tweaking done here and there, but nothing here is majorly broken. Except level 3 power characters, mainly Knuckles and Omega, those guys fuck. There is, however, one issue that persists across all 12 characters, that being the slippery controls. I don't know why, but everyone here has a good old case of Luigi syndrome, and that they all have little to no traction underneath their shoes, and that can lead to some unfortunate deaths that aren't really the player's fault at all. It's especially noticeable with the speed characters, since their acceleration is the greatest out of the 3. That's also not my only issue with Sonic Heroes controls, as rail grinding returns and has seen some improvements from its debut in SA2. Mainly the need to balance your character isn't as essential now. They also attempted to fix rail switching. Attempted. I say that because in spite of you doing exactly what they tell you to do, that being to hold the direction in the rail that you want to switch to and press A, you can just overshoot the rail, and since these are often over bottomless pits, there goes all your levels, a life, and any chance you had at getting the A rank, as yes, the ranking system also returns and is just as strict as it was in SA2. That's not the only thing that you can lose from dying. Within each level are these gold keys trapped inside these iron boxes. You can break them open to collect the key and carry it to the end of the level. The catch is that you can't take damage or else you'll lose the key. They do place 2 in each level to help with this. Also, getting hit with a shield won't count, so it's not super strict. But what are these keys for, you might ask? Welcome to Sonic Heroes Special Stages. You see, not only do we need to complete all 4 stories in order to unlock the true ending, we also gotta nab all 7 Chaos Emeralds. Unfortunately, they don't do what Sonic Advance 2 does and makes you get them as every character. The emeralds are shared between all 4 teams, so getting them first as, say, Team Sonic means you don't have to get them as Team Rose, Dark, or Chaotix. Here's the catch though, the Chaos Emeralds are only available in the second act of each stage. If you get to the special stage in the first act, then all you're gonna get is extra lives. It at least does let you practice these special stages because, oh my god! Who in their right dumbass motherfucking mind thought that these were an okay thing to do? The way that these work is that you have to collect these colorful orbs in order to build up your speed so that you can catch the emerald in time. The issue is the goddamn controls. They're so overly sensitive, and I swear the characters will just drift when you aren't even touching the analog stick. These honestly have to be the worst special stages in the entirety of Sonic the Hedgehog. It feels like you're fighting the fucking controls half the time, and the other time the game decides, nah, fuck you. Like, what the hell are you guys doing? Somehow, this is Naka's fault. I can feel it in my bones, you insider trading scum of the fucking earth. Why, Ayana? Oh, Jesus Christ. Why don't we take a chill pill and talk about the levels themselves, as there is some noteworthy stuff here. Unlike the adventure games, all the levels are gone through with all 4 teams, so in that regard, it is kind of like how the Genesis games were. Of course, we start off with Seaside Hill, and it's a very nice starting level. I dig the Ocean Palace theme too. It's a nice way to start off this journey. Next up is Grand Metropolis, this Emerald City looking area that, I'll be honest, whenever I see this place, I just think of that old Sonic Paradox video where the characters are just all singing as they go through the level. Casino Park can eat my fucking ass. The pinball physics suck, and I end up spending way too much time on the pinball boards as a result. Rail Canyon is up next, and I was actually interested to see this one since its reappearance in Shadow Generations, and by god, this level absolutely got a glow up. Although, I'll be honest, I still don't get why this level was brought back for that game, and not the next level, Frog Forest. I say that because this is honestly my favorite level in the game. After experiencing it for the first time, I was just looking forward to it on each subsequent playthrough. The giant frogs, the jungle theming, I don't understand why we're being chased by a realistic alligator, especially when Vector is here, but Hang Castle has a neat gimmick, that being switching gravity, which can lead to some creative level design. My only issue with this place is it can drag on for a little too long, especially with Team Dark. Finally is Egg Fleet, a dangerous but thrilling final pair of levels that have an assload of rail grinding. Just watch out in this zone as it's pretty much just one big giant death pit below. Of course, at the end of each of the zones are boss fights, which come in 3 flavors: Eggman battles, enemy rushes, and character battles. Let's start off with the Eggman battles, as these are just the best boss fights in the game, as they're, well, actual boss fights. You just have to chase Eggman and his machines and deal enough damage to him in order to win. They're straightforward, they're engaging, and they don't take forever. The enemy rushes are dreadful in my opinion, as you have to deal with wave after wave of just regular ass enemies, and it just isn't ever fun the 2 times that they have you do this. The amount of waves also changes depending on the team that you're playing, so while Team Rose will only have to deal with a few, you'll be sitting here thinking, when the fuck is this gonna end with Team Dark? And then the Chaotix, they don't even really have to engage with this crap, thanks to how their Team Blast works. Finally are the character battles, which are just as pathetic as they were in the adventure games. I guess it's good to see that some things never change. The thing is you now have to take out the entire team of characters, and I think these have a rock, paper, scissors dynamic to them. I'm honestly not sure. I mean, the game says that there is, but I honestly find just spamming my flight character's attacks or my power character just works fine most of the time. Also, the reasoning for these characters fighting is just so
Sonic, this time there's no way out of marrying me.
Guys, she's 12 years old. Also, I like how this is Sonic's first time seeing Shadow alive after his presumed death, and he's just like, "Lol, fight me, bitch! Easy 1v1 clutch, bitch." At the very least, the one consistent positive Heroes has is its soundtrack. I mean, it's a Sonic game, of course. If a Sonic game ever has bad music, then that should be your cue to grab your nearest Bible and start praying to whatever god you worship. I won't gush on just the main theme, Sonic Heroes, but having another Crush 40 song is always a joy to the ears. I mentioned Grand Metropolis earlier, and I want to highlight it now, because honestly, it's just a great level theme. What else can I say? Frog Forest is another one I really like. It's not rock heavy or anything, it just sounds beautiful and free, if that makes sense. Lastly is the final boss theme, What I'm Made Of, once again performed by Crush 40. Yeah, we ate well with this game, it gave us 2 Crush 40 songs. And I honestly think that this is the better of the two personally, especially the main chorus. This will also allow us to perfectly segue into the final boss itself, Metal Overlord. This is, I want to say, a 4-stage boss fight that starts off by having us weaken it with Team Rose, Dark, and Chaotix, while avoiding getting frozen like a bunch of morons. Afterwards is the true final battle as Team Sonic, with the power of the Chaos Emeralds, take on Metal Overlord in the steel clouds above. You have to build up your team gauge in order to deal damage to him, and that can be done by dashing through his crystal attacks. Not to mention, you gotta keep your ring count up or else. It might take a minute, but it's not super hard or anything. There is some other stuff here like the multiplayer, but I don't have anyone to play with, and also from what I've heard, it's not nearly as good as SA2 Battles multiplayer. You can also go for all A ranks, but I don't enjoy this game enough to even consider doing that, so I think that this means we can end our time with Sonic Heroes. I knew Heroes wasn't going to be up to the same standard as the adventure titles, and I think this playthrough pretty much confirmed that for me. Heroes is by no means a bad game, but it's also not that great of a game either. There just isn't much that this game does that I enjoy, as while it does have some fairly good ideas that are well executed, a lot of the surrounding fluff kind of just hinders the overall package, not to mention the slippery controls and those god-awful special stages. It's a shame because I think the central mechanic of Heroes, the team mechanic, is well designed, and I honestly wouldn't mind seeing it come back in a future Sonic game. Maybe one that has its head on a little better, but still. There is something worthwhile buried inside Sonic Heroes, it just needs a second chance to truly shine, I'd say. Maybe in a Sonic Heroes remake, you never know. Well, that was fun, but fortunately Sonic would lay dormant for the next few years, so I say I'll see you guys in Hyrule. Play the fucking game, CeeCee. No, I don't wanna! You are going to play Shadow in 06, and you are gonna like them. God, fucking fine! When we next meet, we'll be heading off with Edgy the Hedgie to his own 2005 spin-off game, Shadow the Hedgehog. Subscribe to the channel if that sounds fun to you, and leave a like and a comment should you choose. And with all of that said, have a great day or night. Peace.